Yes, guys, it's me, it's Al. I'm finally back to doing videos. And remember just a couple of weeks ago I was talking about smoking deals? Well, have I got a smoking deal to tell you about today. My new Superstar Classics. Welcome to Al's Drum Hang. Thank you so much for hanging with me while I've been busy these past few weeks on gigs. Thanks for all the likes and subscribes, and here's to a great summer. I hope you're getting lots of gigs and lots of practice. Anyway, so here's what happened. You noticed a few weeks ago when I was in the middle of that 2 weeks of playing, where all of a sudden I picked up a new set of drums. I didn't think I was going to pick up new drums at this point. I had my Ludwig standards, and they weren't all the sizes I wanted. I wanted a 12, 14, 16, and I had a 13, 16. They sounded great. They were great to transport. Everybody loved them. They have a classic vibe about them. But I really wanted those extra sizes. Unfortunately, because they're Ludwig standards, finding a 12 and a 14 was not only going to be difficult, but expensive. And super difficult to find orphan drums like that in Blue Strata, which normally just comes in sets. So what was the odds I was going to find a 12 and a 14 anytime soon? I also have my old Yamaha Stage Custom, which is for sale, by the way. And it had all the tom sizes, at least the diameters I liked. They had 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. The 12 was too deep. It was a 10 by 12. Really didn't care for that. Only a 20-inch bass drum. Really kind of wanted a 22. And the sound, compared to my Ludwig standards, really just wasn't there. It wasn't doing it for me. And so I was hardly playing them. You noticed that I was sitting behind them in a few of my videos in my house. That's because I wasn't taking them out to gigs. That was it. I was ready to get rid of them. But buying a Tama Superstar Classic was not even on my radar, really. I've long admired Tama. Of course, Neil Peart played Tama back in the 80s when I first got into Rush. And then there's many other people who I like and admire who have played Tama over the years. Simon Phillips, Bill Bruford, Stuart Copeland, Charlie Benanti of Anthrax. All of those guys played Tama, plus this other guy, but we're not going to talk about him. And, of course, Peter Erskine. Still one of the best days of my life, by the way. So, I'd long liked and admired Tama drums, and one of the lines that had really caught my eye lately was the Star Classic in birch walnut, or walnut birch. But way out of reach, way too much money for me anytime soon. And so I kind of put the idea of getting a set of Tama drums out of my mind. Wasn't going to happen. Then lo and behold, as I was just in the middle of all these gigs and kind of lamenting that I didn't have all the toms I wanted on the Ludwig and I really didn't want to take out the Yamaha, this kit shows up on Facebook Marketplace. Now, how smoking of a deal was it? Let's talk about the story behind it first. The guy who bought it was a bass player for a local band. And he bought this kit so that if they got a drummer on board this band, he'd have a kit to play. I don't know who does that, who buys a kit for a drummer. Usually you want the drummer to come with a kit. But that's what they did, and so they bought it new at Sweetwater for $12.49 plus shipping. No, that's free shipping. Sweetwater. Shop at Sweetwater. They're awesome. So they brought this one drummer in to audition for him. And he apparently didn't work out because the ad says it's only been played on 10 times. So this guy went ahead and put it on Facebook Marketplace, where I saw it, and that got me really interested. And then I remembered a while back seeing R. David R. post this video where he compared his vintage Superstars against a 7-piece Superstar Classic. And he actually really liked them and said that they were the best deal on budget maple drums on the market today. And that's a glutted field when you consider you've got Pearl, you've got Gretsch, you've got PDP, you've got a lot of people making good maple drums at low prices these days. But he thought it was really great. That caught my attention, so I started thinking about it more. And the drums were a great steal. They were $350 off the list price, listed at $900 on Facebook. And if they were brand new, only a couple of things gave me pause. Number one, the 12-inch tom is a 9x12, not an 8x12 like I prefer. And the bass drum, this is a bigger deal, is an 18x22, and I prefer a 14, at worst a 16-inch depth. And so I had a choice to make. Is this really something I'd be comfortable with? So I listened to a bunch more videos and listened to the R. David R. video over again. And finally I'm like, yes, absolutely, I can live with this. This will be fine. So I went over to this guy's house armed with $900 in cash. And I gave them a good looking over, and they were practically brand new. If I point to you a couple of places where there's some scuffs on the drum shells, then you'll see them. But they're essentially pristine. Even better, the bass drum came with a practically new EMAD package, front and back. That's like $87. And then the floor toms both had brand new EC2s on them. That's another $27, $28 a piece. When you add it up, that's almost $140 in drum heads that I now don't have to buy. Fantastic. So it ended up I needed to buy an EC2 to go with the 8-inch tom and the 10-inch tom. And I also replaced all the heads on the snare drum because this thing was pretty battered, the stock head. And I also gave it pure sound wires. That's all I did to it. You may remember during the Start of Summer vlog when I bought the drums and brought them in here to the church to rehearse. I had them wide open, and they're wide open right now except for the snare has a little bit of flappy muffling on the top of cymbal felt under some tape that flops up and down when I hit it, and the bass drum has a pillow in it now. But these things sound massive. Now, as soon as I bought them, I came in here and rehearsed with the Timely Tragedy and the Michael Carlos Band. And then almost immediately, they were out on a gig with me under intense sunlight. And of course, they sounded great. They felt great. That bass drum can stop your heart. Then, just last weekend, I took them on 3 more gigs. A double bill show with the Timely Tragedy and Loose Change, which is my cover band. And then another gig just yesterday with Loose Change. We were out in the middle of a field with no overhead cover, and it rained on these things. And I'm here to tell you these things are pretty sturdy because they took it like a champ, just ran a towel over them, made sure that there was no water in between the heads and the bearing edges. We're good to go. Very tough drums. What do I love about these drums? Well, the toms sound so punchy, so deep, so just... I have these tuned pretty much top and bottom same, and they've still got the stock reso heads on them. They sound wonderful. They are just punchy, full, warm. I mean, these are some of the best toms I've ever heard on any drum at any price point. I did not know I was going to like the 18x22 kick as much as I do. It is huge. It is massive. It is not hard to play like some 18-inch deep bass drums I've played before. Even without muffling, it was very clear, precise. It didn't feel like I was pushing air through the drum, like can sometimes happen on a deep bass drum. With the muffling in it, it is really clicky, but it still has a bunch of punch in recordings. when we look at the other parts of the drum set, like the mounts, they're solid. Tama has always had a great reputation on their mounting hardware, and this came with this multi-clamp over here, as well as the tom tree that flies off the bass drum. Everything's been solid. One of the minor problems I have with the kit is that when I like to play a 2 up, 2 down, I like to offset the 10 and the 12 to the left. And that means flying them off a stand. Now, the tom tree will fit into an inch diameter stand bottom, and that's no problem. But because it's a 22-inch bass drum, I can't really snug that stand very close up to the bass drum, and therefore my hi-hat gets pushed way off to the left, and I have to spread my double pedals apart. But that's just drum logistics. That would happen with any 10, 12, and 22. Another thing I've noticed is that the star mounts, which are great, they make the drums very resonant. Two things. Number one, the drums are quite bouncy on their mounts. And so if you're okay with that, that's fine. I'm still getting used to it. Another thing is that, especially on the 10 and the 12, and you can see it right here, it's very hard to get microphones underneath those mounts sometimes, especially if your microphone mounts are really stiff and not as flexible. These Sennheiser mounts are pretty flexible, but the digital reference mounts that I use are a little bit stiffer, and it took me a good 5 minutes to get one of them on the other day when I was miking up this kit. The snare drum. The snare drum so far I'm in a love-hate relationship with. I love the fact that it's 6.5 inches deep compared to other snare drums you get with kits. I've never owned a matching snare drum before, and so I really didn't know what to expect, especially at this price point. It's been a little difficult to tame, and you're going to hear on the recording how it's a bit ringy. It's really ringy. I might put rings on it or more muffling on it, and I've just spent a lot of time tuning it and finessing the snares to try and get the best sound of it as I can. And it sounds pretty good, but a lot of my other snares sound a bit better, and they cost $500 and $600. And this came with a kit that I got for $900 minus heads. So it is what it is. I will say that putting new heads on it has definitely upped its game, because the original heads that came with it, as beaten up as they were, there was no making this drum sound good at all. Another thing that's interesting about this kit, and obviously you have to cut prices somewhere. You have to cut something on this kit to get it to this price point, which is an amazing price point, is that the 8-inch tom only has 4 lugs on it. My Yamaha Stage Custom, which is the Gen 1 and older Stage Custom, has 5. The PDP CX kit that I play at the Timely Tragedies rehearsal stage has 6 lugs on the 8-inch. Now, it's an 8-inch drum. How much tension do you need across this head? Maybe not that much. We're saving some weight. We're saving some parts. But it does, if you really care about that thing, it does kind of maybe, I don't know, make it look a little cheaper, if that's something you care about. All in all, am I happy with this purchase? Absolutely. This is my new #1 kit. It sounds fantastic. It's going to hold its value. It is easy to set up. It's easy to maintain. It really just does a great job at gigs. You know you've bought a nice drum set when the rest of your band goes, man, that is an amazing drum set. Anyway, this video was not at all sponsored by Tama or by Sweetwater. But if you guys want to work with me in the future, hit me up. I'm really, really so happy to have had a chance to show you these drums and to play them for you. Thanks so much for waiting. Your patience is appreciated. You know what else is appreciated? Your likes, your subscribes, and you enabling notifications. So the next time I post a video on Al's Drum Hang, you'll know about it immediately. Thanks for watching Al's Drum Hang. I'm Al, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks.